Good evening and welcome to another episode of Unscripted and Unchained RPG review. I am Game Master Bluddworth, and as you can see by the graphics, tonight I am going to be taking a look at Index Card RPG, the Master Edition plus the Viking Death Squad. I guess that's a supplement, or possibly it's like a side edition of the Master Edition. So this was something that I'm assuming came out in a Kickstarter within the last year and a half or so. But I decided to purchase this just over this past weekend, and waiting for my physical copies to come in probably in about 3 to 5 weeks, and I didn't want to wait that long to actually start taking a look at it. Usually, what I do is I wait until I have both the physical copy and the PDFs in order to do these previews or reviews or first looks. And I wanted to handle this one a little bit differently than I tend to. So I do have the core second edition, which I've had this for quite some time now, and so I'm looking through this as I'm going to be talking about that as well. But I do have the PDFs all ready and fired up and ready to take a look at it. So tonight's video, I'm only going to focus on very briefly the intro and then the core system, and then I'll stop it there. And I am going to break this one down into quite a few episodes because it's a fairly big book, and there's just a lot of stuff in there that is just so innovative and interesting that I think that it really does deserve the time. Now, speaking about time, let's talk about timing. Many of you out there are probably looking for alternatives to Wizards of the Coast or Dungeons and Dragons, and you might be looking at Pathfinder 2, or you might be looking at some other OSR titles or other independent titles. And this is certainly a game system that you should be looking at. And that's whether you're going to stay with 5e or you're going to move to any of those others. I picked up what you see on the screen right now, the Index Card RPG Master Edition and the Viking Death Squad. I picked up both those in softcover and PDF for under $30. So this is not a huge investment that you're asked to make, and it uses the very generic 7 die types that are found in all tabletop RPGs and so forth. So it really is, I think, important for any of us to really diversify what kind of tabletop RPGs that we're running and playing, and or at the very least reading and looking at, to pull ideas from, if you are going to pull ideas and bring them into other game systems that you're already running. So without further ado, let's start taking a look at Index Card RPG Master Edition, and then I'll go through Master first, and then start taking a look at the Viking Death Squad. So this is going to be a long series because I think there's a lot of interest in this game system, and it is really one of the most innovative and unique systems that I've come across in quite some time. So let's get right into the PDF. So as you can see, this is 408 pages long. That's the Master Edition. This second edition that I have here is only 210. So the Master Edition is probably inclusive of this and even more. So let's go. So I already like some of the things. Like, I like this crumpled paper look, and I've seen this with other PDFs out there. I know that the Red Room has used this as well. As you can see, so the art is by Brandish Gilhelm, who is also Runehammer, and this is Runehammer Games. and he uses several different names for himself, but he is really one of the again, one of the most unique and really highly skilled artists out there. He has a lot of connections with Eric Bloat and Bloat Games, which is a great series as well. I'm a big fan of that, and we're going to roll on through. So I'm just going to spend time with the introduction very briefly, and really the D20 system you command, and then go into the core system. So I'm going to basically cover this from pages 1 through about 20. I'm going to skip over the introduction here. Henkerin Farinale is his real name, I guess, and so here we go. Introduction. A D20 system you command. Whether it's a dead starship in the cold depths of space, the brimstone citadels of the nether realms, the frozen tombs of my primordial past, or the great stone towers of the noblest ages, adventure is everywhere and everywhere and every win. There you are, front and center, ready to save the world. ICRPG provides a role playing framework, a creative mindset, and heaps of loot players will need to get the job done. This book combines all of the biggest pieces of the index card RPG puzzle with revised rules, tighter writing, and art from all over the multiverse. Here's what you will find in these pages. Grab your notebook, it's on. So the core system, you're rolling a d20. All right, for the most part. To attack a monster is just too good to change, but lots of other things on this tabletop gaming are ready for an upgrade. All the familiar you need with all the new. Wait, sorry. All the familiar you need with all the new you learn to love. You'll learn to love. Play as written or cherry pick for your current game. So there's a player's guide, there's the GM's guide, there's the monsters, there's the worlds, and then there's the magic section. So the tabletop campfire, I am going to go. So these are the things that you basically need. You need a pencil or pen. You need the inevitable notebook. You need the noble polyhedrals. So this is going to use a D4, D6, D8, D10, D12, and D20. Friends, yes, you do need friends. Although I'm wondering if you could actually do solo with this as well. Virtually anything you can. And then maps and minis, which the PDFs of this came with, with paper minis, and I will show those off when I'm done running the entire series of videos. And food and drink. Okay, so here we go. The core system, how to use this book. I'm just going to jump to the bullets. Playing in clockwise turns. This has been the staple in board and card games for generations. You and your group will rejoice as the simple foundation of play streamlines numerous aspects of any session. Effort dice. The wild variety of things that get players rolling dice are compressed here into simple categories of effort, each using its own die type. Targets. Index card RPG combines all roll targets into a single number at the table. Furthermore, there are just a few numbers that even need be considered. This will vastly speed up and simplify any game and give players a clear vision of challenge. Clean stats. There are no skills, derivative number formulae, feats of talents here. The game system just uses the character's 6 core stats to call for rolls, make attempts, checks, and generally be awesome. Adventures in turns. All ready to begin. Your GM gathers You all at the table introduces the basic premise of the game ahead. We begin on the deck of a mighty ship. You have your characters ready, some dice scattered about, and a squiggly map on some index cards. One day, while sailing the open ocean, the ship is attacked by a squad of spear wielding fishmen. They're climbing all over the ship, intent on killing all aboard. Let's get started. The GM looks over to you and says the words that have launched 1,000 epic tales. It's your turn. What will you do? So, all tabletop role playing games find common roots at this moment. When it's your turn, you don't simply choose a button to push. The scene as it stands becomes yours to change, yours to explore, and yours to embellish. This could be as simple as asking how many fishermen or fishmen are attacking us, or as complex as I will draw my saber, grab hold of the mast rope, and kick loose the reel crank, sending me flying into the fishmen, steel blazing. No matter how you choose to use your turn, the game occurs when the GM helps you resolve your effect on the scene and then passes the spotlight to the next player. In time, you will see how fast and simple or complex and meticulous this process can be. This section describes how Index Card RPG handles the turn-by-turn process for creating, changing, and resolving scenes in your unique story. Mind your feet, adventurer. Once you begin down this wide open road of collaborative storytelling, there's no telling where you might end up. Always turns. Turns give a session structure, and so on. So we all know about turns in tabletop role playing games. Who goes first? This is an interesting one, right? So when a new action scene begins, everyone at the table rolls a d20. That includes the GM. The highest roll goes first and then clockwise. So you could actually have, let's say you have 5 players at the table, the sixth being the GM. If the GM rolls the highest on the d20, the GM is going to go first for every action for the scene. Let's say it's the third player. The third player will go, the fourth player will go, the fifth player will go, then the GM, then the first, second, and then it repeats back over to beginning with the third player again. So it will always go in that order, clockwise, beginning with whomever rolled the highest on the d20. When the dice starts rolling. So once you start rolling your dice, first thing that players do is describe it. Most turns you make start with a description of something that you're trying to do, curious about, or want to affect in some way. If you're stumbled, just ask for details about what's going on. I'm going to attack that skeleton. I leap over the chasm. I force the airlock open. Roll the bones. The GM hears what you're imagining. He'll let you know what kind of roll is needed and let you know roll for it. Roll a d20 plus your strength stat, beat a 13. Roll a d20 plus your dexterity against a 15. There's a 50-50 chance. Roll a d6 for me. All right. So this is the GM speaking to the players, telling the players exactly when to roll and exactly what to roll, and telling them what their target is. Get the results. Based on the outcome of your roll, you and the GM will both describe how things changed according to your success or failure. Boom, you smashed the skeleton. I made it. I go flying over the gap, or, oh no, a 1. The airlock is jammed shut. Three kinds of turns. Unless you spend your turn just talking or looking good, it will take one of these three forms every single time. Not only will you get used to the formula, you will begin to master it, to exploit it, and to push it to a limit to survive. Better yet, to triumph. Here are the three types of turns in Index Card RPG. Action only. You're just going to make your roll. Move near and then an action. So you're going to move a short distance, just near enough, and then an action. Move far. That means that you don't get an action that particular turn. You're only moving far. Examples of common turns. Attack an enemy with so this is action only. Attack an enemy with a weapon. Take a closer look at an encoded glyphs or symbols. Call upon magic power to cast a spell. Move in action. Dash down a corridor and smash a hole in the wall. Hurry to a friend and heal her injuries. Move through the battlefield to block incoming arrows. And then a far move. Sprint down a dusty street to escape an explosion. Run to reach your grav bike before the bad guys steal it. And finally, dash and slide under a slowly closing stone doorway. Three kinds of actions. For checks, you're going to roll a d20 plus your stat, meet or beat the target. For simple actions, auto success, no roll is needed. And then for attempts, meet or beat the target plus roll for effort. And I will get into more detail with effort and what that actually means. But these other two are fairly self-explanatory. Simple actions: start up the engines on a starship, reel in the cable on a small cargo hoist, fix a saddle to your trusty steed. Other simple actions could be: I'm going to I'm going to unsheath my sword, or anything where there's no real risk of failure. Checks: use your dexterity stat to leap over a fissure on the ice. Use your strength stat to shove a wooden crate aside. Use pick locks and a little elbow grease to jimmy a locked door. Attempts: larger tasks can take time to complete. Attempts involve a d20 roll and rolling an effort to complete a task or to destroy a foe you might. Destroy a security droid with multiple blaster shots. Translate a tablet covered in mysterious old runes. Cut your way through a barricade with your battle axe. So now we're going to talk about establishing a target. Time for the nuts and bolts of making successful checks and attempts. In Index Card RPG, all rolls in a scene are rolled against a single all-powerful number, the target. Whether it is to hit an enemy, the difficulty of scouting in heavy fog, or a cryptic symbols of a dead language, in one scene there is only one target, and all rolls must meet or beat the number to succeed. So this symbol here, as you can see in red, means that this scene has a target of 12. That means that everything taking place in that scene is going to be based on a target of 12. The target is usually somewhere between 10 and 18. GMs can find out more about setting and modifying targets on page 103, which will be in the GM section, and I will spend time there. No matter what your role you're trying, you'll need a few pieces of information. Usually, you know these answers right away based on what you're trying to do, but your GM is always there to help. Is this a check or an attempt? Sometimes it isn't clear, and if you're trying will be an instant or take repeated work, either way, you'll need the next two answers before you roll. What stat am I using to help my roll? So the characters have 6 stats, and I will go into that when I start talking about, in particular, when I start talking about character creation, which will be the next video after this one. Depending on what's being tried, you almost always get to add the value of one stat to your d20 roll. What is the target? Every scene will have a number that is always in view. That's how difficult everything in the scene is in that scene. Your almighty d20, add your stat, and meet or beat the target to succeed. This process will be 90% of your rolls in Index Card RPG. So they use the example of a 12, right? So a 12 is going to be what you must roll on a d20, meet or beat it. If you're using a stat that has a numerical value, let's say you're doing a strength check, and let's say your strength is a 2. All right, that means that you're going to roll a d20, you're going to add 2 to it, and you're trying to meet or beat a 12. All right, so not a very difficult stat, right? You have basically a 50-50 chance in making that attempt or that skill check. Sometimes there could be an adjustment to how difficult something is going to be, and so it might be a particularly hard task. Well, that's going to be a 12 minus 3, or it might be a 12 plus 3. So you'll need a 15 target. If something is particularly easy, then it might be a 12 minus 3. So you'll only need to roll a 9 or better in order to succeed there. And they get into that a little bit here, like right the next scene. So you make your rolls will be against a target as it is shown. And here I just described this, right? When a roll is hard, meet or beat target plus 3. When a roll is easy, meet or beat target minus 3. When things are easy. If you are using tools or implements that assist you, makes it easy. If you're tired and exact same action last turn but failed, all right, that makes it, if the target is 15 or higher, I'm sorry, let me reread this. This is what happens when you're doing a first view. If the target is 15 or higher, you'll be looking for ways to make it easy. Here are just a few examples of how and why rolls can be easy. If you are using tools or implements that assist you, that makes it easier. If you tried the exact same action last turn but failed, becomes easier the second time. If another character is assisting you, it becomes easier. If loot you are using makes certain actions always easy, that makes it easier. When things are hard, sometimes you want to do something really cool, or at least unlikely. Your GM may announce, okay, but that's a hard roll. Here are just a few reasons some actions will be deemed hard. If you are pushing for extra results from your action, like double damage, that's going to be hard. If what you're trying to do is extraordinary or hard to believe possible, that will make it hard. If enemies or effects nearby are disrupting your focus or senses, that is going to make it hard. Rolling for effort. So I'm going to slow down a tiny bit here, and I want to explain this. One of the core innovations in Index Card RPG is the concept of effort. Effort simplifies and consolidates all kinds of variations in the outcome of your successful attempt rolls. Not only does it classify types of outcomes into easy, clear dice categories, It lends new detail to tasks that aren't just doing damage. Once you have made a successful attempt, it is time to roll effort. Basic effort successes. If you are only using your bare hands or your wits, roll a d4. After a successful attempt to do damage with a punch, bend bars with raw muscle, or take time to decipher a block of coded writing, you're going to roll a d4. So let's give an example. If you're fighting something that has 10 hit points, it has one heart, and I'll get into that a little bit later too. And you're only using your bare hands, you're going to do D4 worth of damage. If you're trying to decipher something, um, that decipher something is going to have the equivalent of hit points. And so it may take you several turns to decipher this. If it has 10 hit points and you're only rolling d4s, all right, then you're going to take you longer, potentially in order to do it. So if you're just using the basic die, it's going to become much longer task in order to do things. Weapons and tools. Anytime you are using a standard ranged or melee weapon to do damage, you're going to roll d6. Also roll a d6 when using tools to accomplish a task, such as using a pry bar to open a jammed door, using bandages to cure wounds, or using a micro torch to seal a bulkhead hatch. So there'll be a certain number of points in which you must accumulatively reach, say, weapon damage doing d6, and something has 12 hit points, then it is going to take you 2 successful maximum damage hits in order to reduce that thing to 0 hit points. If you're trying to heal a wound of 6 hit points of damage, and you roll a 5, well, you're going to have to spend another round bandaging to heal up any additional damage. Guns. Firearms are deadly. Anytime you're using a gun to attack an enemy and do damage, you're going to roll a d8. Guns also come in many forms with special ways to deal devastating damage. So guns base d8. Magic and energy, their effort is a d10. So they obviously do more damage than guns. There's also healing with magic power. That will also heal up d10. And then there's the ultimate, the almighty d12. When you roll a critical success on your attempt, a natural 20 on a d20 roll, you'll roll the type of effort above that fits and then add d12 on top of that roll. You have excelled at your attempt with an ultimate result. Hearts and effort. As you just noticed, reading about effort dice, you will be rolling against all kinds of tasks with effort, not just rolling damage. Anything that can't be accomplished in an instant will need effort to complete. Once you get your head around this, you'll see how versatile the system really is and how it encourages all kinds of play beyond just doing damage. How much effort do you need to complete a task or destroy an enemy? That is where the hearts come in. The effort roll, every heart equals 10. Just like the classic video games of yesteryear, Index Card RPG uses hearts to show how much hit points an enemy has or how much effort is needed to overcome a task. One heart is equal to 10 points of effort or damage needed. It's an arbitrary system to make the numbers distinct and easy to look at. Using a sword, attacking a monster with 2 hearts, do 20 points of damage, with a d6 die to be victorious. Using a magical translation spell to decode one heart of ancient runes, you will need to roll a 10 with your d10 magic die. It can be done in just one turn. All right. If it takes you more, that if you didn't roll a 10, you rolled a 5, then it might take you it will take you a second turn in order to decipher that. If you roll then a 5, then you have completed it after your second turn. If you rolled a 3, well, you still have 2 more points of effort uh, to achieve, and you're going to have to go into a third turn in order to finally decipher that. The GM will have all kinds of detail to offer with how many hearts a task or enemy has to overcome. Your job is to make those attempts and the rolls as much effort as you can. For more about building your character to boost effort rolls, see the player's guide on page 26. So that is going to be this next video. Movement and distance, this is very simple, right? If you can reach it with your fingers, just standing there, it's close. This is a toe-to-toe range, sword fighting distance. No move is needed to use or interact with close things. Near, a few hurried steps to get to near things. Imagine near as being a few seconds away. Things within reach of long spears, the distance of a quick draw, or how far you can move in a turn is and still have time for an action. So that's what's considered near. Far is something that takes you more than several seconds to run, the distance of the basic bow shot, as far as throwing a baseball or a very challenging pistol shot. If you want to move far on your turn, you will take the entire turn to do so. Out of range, beyond far. As you play out of scene, it's a is a distance you can't reach in one turn of movement, and none of your effects can reach. Out of range defines area in which most of the current action is happening, or you might want to move out of range of enemy fire. Even your allies cannot help you if you are out of range, so be careful about splitting the group. Time can be simple too. A turn. When a player takes the stage for a few brief moments, moving and doing a few rolls, that is one turn. A turn is between 10 and 20 seconds of action. A round. When every player at the table, including the GM, has taken a turn, that is one round. Rounds are often used to measure lasting effects, countdowns, or other things that last more than a few seconds. A round is something like a minute in the game world, even if it takes longer to play. Freeform. When something takes several minutes, hours, or even days to play out, there is less and less reason to sweat the details or firmly enforce playing in turns. It is still smart to keep moving around your table, addressing each player decisions during the stretch of time, but you won't be accurately measuring movement or damage output. Things get more descriptive, and your GM will be introducing more ways to use dice to keep the story moving. So, guys, I think I am dead. When you reach 0 hit points, as you take damage in the bone crunching world of index card RPG, you'll eventually find yourself at 0. At that instant, your character drops unconscious. All spells or effects you were creating vanish, and you're bleeding out fast. The clock is ticking on your life. Roll for dying. On the next turn, After you drop to 0, roll a d4. Pray you roll high, because in that many rounds, without help or a miracle, your character will die with a capital D. It's a miracle. On each round of on each of your turns while you're dying, you get a very narrow chance to miraculously regain consciousness. Roll a d20. If it's a natural 20, some miracle of anatomy has brought you back awake with 1 hit point. It's a miracle. Nope, he's dead for real. If all your dying rounds pass, no one helps you, and you can't roll a miracle, you're dead. No more rolls, no backdoor tricks, you're toast. Blown to bits. On any, I'm sorry, one last thing. If you take so much damage in one cataclysmic instance to reduce your character to minus 20 hit points, you are blown to bits. You're just mist and memories. There is nothing even a body. There is not even a body to bury. Recovery. I don't want to die. I want to live. There are a few ways to recover hit points and avoid becoming a skeleton besides hoping to roll a miracle after you've been pummeled to a pulp. Recovery. Anytime during play, sacrifice your turn to pause, regain your breath, and bind a few cuts, and recover your gusto. To do so, roll a d20 plus your Constitution stat and meet or beat the current target. If you can do so, regain your Constitution stat +1 in hit points instantly. Now get back into the fight. Don't die on me, man. If you are unconscious and bleeding out, counting down precious dying rounds, you need help. If an ally can reach you and make a successful roll with intelligence or wisdom stats on the current target, your dying time stops in its tracks. You're stable but unconscious and owe your ally your life. Healing and first aid. Be it through magical means, D10, or medical tools like bandages, D6, you or your allies can heal you during battle. There are many ways to heal and be healed, as you'll discuss in more detail during play. Core system, the legendary hero coin. All right, so let's start dealing with this here. Okay, you have all the roots of the game system now. You're ready to start bending rules. That's what they're made of. That's what they're made for anyway. As you go deeper into things, you'll get all kinds of abilities and loot that will make things get crazy. Before those days come, though, it is time to learn Index Card RPG's final feature, the hero coin. You haven't talked very much about it yet, but a great session of tabletop play owes itself to exciting, sincere, inventive role play by players. This elusive element of the hobby is the topic of much discussion. It is character, sacrificing self for others. It is taking the game in new directions. It is making the table more fun for everyone. It's all of these things. When a GM sees this kind of excitement in play, the hero coin is a way that moment is celebrated. That was brilliant. Take a hero coin. Here are the rules for the coveted hero coin, once granted by the GM. You can only have one hero coin at a time, no hoarding. Turn in your hero coin in to re-roll any die roll. Turn in your hero coin to add a d12 onto any die roll. You can give your hero coin to another player at any time during play. Below is a trial scenario. And I'm not going to go through this whole scenario here. I've pretty much covered that everything that is in the core rules, and then we're going to get to the player's guide in the next video. So, very quick recap of some of these systems. Like movement is really easy. Um, you know, hearts and effort are again also fairly easy to grasp. Here are the effort dice. So basic D4, weapons and tools D6, guns D8, magic and energy D10s, ultimates D12s. When you make a success, you roll effort. The effort will go towards reducing the hearts or the hit points of whatever action you were taking. That whatever resistance you were facing, whether it be an opponent's hit points or a door's structure. That's how that works. Target's easy and hard. So a target will be established for the session. Let's say the target is going to range between 10 and 18. So let's take just the in-between spot of that. Let's say a 14 is the average target. Now, if you're doing something that is going to be hard, you're going to need to roll on a d20, so a 17. If it's easy, under that mid-range target of a 14, then you're only going to need to roll an 11. You're going to roll a d20, add the appropriate stat to it, and that becomes your target that you're trying to reach. You have to meet it or exceed it. Remember, if you roll a natural 20, you're going to add an extra d12 to your effort. Again, breaking down the three kinds of actions: checks, d20 plus stat; simple actions, no roll needed; attempts, meet or beat the target plus your effort roll; actions, action only, you just roll; move near, and you could still take an action; move far, that's all you can do during your turn. And I am going to bring it right back to our screen here. So as you can see, I mean, it is, I think it's a very dynamic system. Once you start picking up on it, it's just going to flow. Um, you don't have to worry about rolling initiative constantly. You're just going to roll it once and then run clockwise for the rest of the session or scene. You're going to have a target number that is the preset target number for that scene that you're in. So you all know at the table that 12 is going to be the target number for this particular scene, or 14, or let's say this scene is going to be an extremely challenging scene. Then you're going to turn to your players and you're going to let your players know that this is a very challenging scene, and the set number for this scene is going to be an 18. Hopefully they have plenty of loot items that are going to make things easier, or they're going to work together to make things easier. And making something easier takes 3, or it adds 3 to your attempt rolls. So it really is a very dynamic system, and it is fairly simple to use. Once you get the hang of it, it's just going to flow, like I said. So really recommend you take a look at this system here. I will do another video, start talking about character creation, and you'll get a better sense of how hearts work and how the ability scores actually come into play here, because that is very unique as well. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, put those in the questions and comments section. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing and hit that bell so that you'll get alerts for the next video in this series. I'm also doing some other games at the same time, so I will be intermixing these, just kind of mix it up throughout the week and throughout the next couple of weeks. Like I said, this this game system is going to take probably 6 to maybe even 10 videos going through going through just the core book and then touching upon what the Viking Death Squad booklet is going to be all about as well. So as always, I hope you enjoyed your weekend. You have a work week coming up, so you know, get through your work week as fast as you possibly can and get back to the weekend again. Many of us, some of us, we run our games during the week in the evening hours. So I have my game coming up on Tuesday. Really looking forward to it. I have a second game that I'm playing in on Thursday. Looking forward to that as well. So I look forward to seeing you on a gaming screen sometime soon. You'll have a great rest of your evening, and thank you for joining. Take care.